Hi guys, it's Miss Hill again. I'm back. But today I'm bringing you guys a guided practice video on problem solving using bar graphs and dot plots. So let's jump right in. Let's look at example 1 or number 1. The bar graph below shows grades students earn on a quiz. What fraction of the total number of students earned an A expressed in simplest form, meaning that once you write your fraction in the end to get your final answer, you will have to simplify. Now we know fractions consist of a part and a whole. Now in this question, the part will be the total number of students that earned an A. So if you look here, this is a bar graph. In the instructional video, I showed you how to read and gather information from a bar graph. And if you forgot that or you still don't understand, go back and look at the instructional video. But I'm explaining it in this example as well. So let's look. This is the bar graph, right? And they want to know the fraction of students that earned an A. So here we look at the grade, and this is the number of students. So A, the number of students that earned an A will be 8. So that is our part. So we know that 8 students earned an A, but do we know how many students in total took the test? No, they didn't give us that, so we have to find that out. So now we have to go and add up all the number of students who got each grade. So for an A, it was 8, right? For students that received an B, it was 10. So we have 8 plus 10, which is 18. And then we need to add the students that have a C. C students was 6, so we have 18 plus 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. Bring down your 4, carry your 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then we have to see the students that received a D and an F. A D was 3, and an F was 3. So we're going to add 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So bring down your 0, carry your 1. So there are a total of 30 students. So in the fraction, we already have our part, and the number that goes at the bottom is your whole. So the fraction of students that earned an A would be 8 over 30. But they want us to write it in the simplest form. So we have to simplify. So we have to find the greatest common factor between 8 and 30. So 2 can go into both 8 and 30 evenly, right? So how many times can 2 go into 8? It would be 4. How many times can 2 go into 30? It would be 15. So the total number of students that earned an A as a fraction will be written as 4 over 15. All right, let's look at number 2. It says use the bar graph below to compare the number of students participating in the jazz band club to the number of students participating in the aerobic club. All right, so we comparing jazz, which is 20, to aerobics, which is 10. That is about 10. Okay, so now we have to write it is jazz, which is 20, to aerobics, which is 10. And if we look at that, we know that 20 is 2 times 10. So the information that we can get from that is jazz is twice as many students participating than aerobic. And that right there, that was quick math, okay? Because we know 20 is 2 times 10. 2 times as many. All right, so let's look at number 3. The dot plot below shows the number of times that several families dined out. How many more families dined out 4 or more times per week than families that dined out less than 2 times per week? Now the key word here is many more. And because we see many more, we know we're going to have to subtract. Okay? So now we have to find out before we subtract how many families dined out 4 or more times. Now here, this is not a bar graph. This is a dot plot. Now, just like the bar graphs, I also explained to you how to read and gather information from a dot plot in the instructional video. If you still don't understand or you forgot, go take a look at the instructional video. All right, so let's look at how many families dined out 4 or more. So we have to include 4, right? So remember, on a dot plot, you count the number of dots that represent the number of families, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 4 or more is equal to 6 times, right? So now we have to compare that to the families that dined out less than 2 times per week. Now it's less than, so we're not including 2. So the numbers that are less than 2 would be 1 and 0. So less than 2 will be equal to 1, 2, 3. So now, because we're trying to find out how many more, we know we're going to have to subtract. So we have to subtract 6 minus 3, which will be 3. So the families eat 3 times more, 4 times more per week. All right, so the answer here was 3. 3 times more. All right, let's look at number 4. So the dot plot shows the number of hours Stan worked each week for the last 3 months. What fraction of the total number of weeks did Stan work 15 or more hours, expressed in its simplest form? All right, so we talking about 15 or more. So again, we looking at the dot plot. We looking at 15 or more. So or more means any number that's bigger than 15. So it'll be 15, 16, 17, 18. And we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be 5. That's our part. Now, just like the bar graph, we have to find out what was the total number of hours per week, right? So we have to add all the dots up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the whole, our total will be 12. So when we go back to our question, what fraction of the total number of weeks did Stan work 15 or more hours? According to this dot plot, it will be 5 out of 12. And we don't have to simplify. It is already in its simplest form. And that's our answer, 15 over 12. And that's just gathering the information from the dot plot. So if you forgot how to read and gather information from a dot plot, remember, go back and look at the instructional video that's on Canvas. Let's look at number 5. Refer to the bar graph in exercise 1. So even though we're on number 5, we're looking at the bar graph from problem number 1. All right. So what fraction, we're writing a fraction of the total number of students earned at least a C. So at least means that's what they got, at least a C. Now remember, you could have got an A, B, or a C, but you had to get at least a C. You can't get below a C. All right, so you can get higher but not below, and express in its simplest form. So we're going to go back here and we're looking at least a C. So you can get an A, B, or C. So we know the students that received an A was 8, plus the students that received a B, which is 10. So we know 8 plus 10 is 18, plus the students who received a C, which is 6. So now we have 8 plus 10, which is 18, plus 6, which is 24. So we know the total number of students that received at least a C was 24, but we're writing a fraction, and a fraction consists of a part and a whole. So this is our fraction bar. We know our part is 24, and from the information from the bar graph, we know our total students that took the quiz was 30. So we have 24 over 30, but they want us to simplify. So we have to find the greatest common factor between 24 and 30, and that is 6. Because 6 can go into both 24 and 30. How many times can 6 go into 24? 4. How many times can 6 go into 30? 5. Our answer for the total number of students who received at least a C would be 4 over 5, or 4 out of 5. All right, let's look at the last problem. Problem number 6. Refer to the dot plot in exercise 4. So even though we're on number 6, we're using this dot plot to help us answer number 6. So they want to know how many more. Remember, key word here is how many more. So we know we're going to have to subtract. How many more weeks did Stan work more than 14 hours compared to the number of weeks he worked less than 10 hours? So now we're doing 14 hours, more than 14 hours, compared to the number of weeks he worked less than 10. So before we can subtract, we have to find the information for more than 14 hours. So more than 14 hours will be any number that's higher than 14. So that's 15, 16, 17, and 18. So we would have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So more than 14 equals 5. Now we have to find less than 10. So less than 10, remember it's less than 10, so it's not including 10. So less than 10 hours would be 1, 2, 3. So now we know how many hours he worked less than 14, which is 5, and then less than 10, which is 3. Now we know we're trying to find how many more, so we have to subtract. So we have to subtract 5 minus 3. And that's quick math, which is 2. So our answer is he worked 2 more hours compared to more than 14 or less than 10. And that is it as far as problem solving with bar graphs and dot plots. Peace.